because you're here. If there's one believer in the room, the presence of God is in the room because the believer carries the presence of God. Amen. I didn't say a church person, I said if there's a believer in the room, the presence of God is in the room because a believer carries the presence of God. Upon receiving this instruction directly from heaven, that we need to have this special service. I don't want to become religious to say it happens every week, but as I'm led by God's Spirit, I should do this. Because we have to understand that Satan has a direct mandate. He's on a mission, and his objective is to steal, to kill, and to destroy. It doesn't matter how the enemy comes at you. He comes at you with three things in mind. He's going to steal, kill, or destroy. The ultimate objective of Satan is to destroy anyone, anything that God has put his hand on. Because Satan knows his end is there. He knows he has a death sentence already over his life, so he's on the mission to say, I have to carry as many as I can before I get there. My assignment tonight is to teach you from the Word about certain classes of demons. And as I begin to teach you from the Word, my mission is also to get you to first of all understand that deliverance never comes in the midst of pride. If someone wants to be delivered from anything, they have to first of all release the pride that says I don't want to be ashamed or anything of that nature, because the devil, your enemy, demons have got no shame where you're concerned. They're out to kill. I must secondly warn you that whenever you approach an atmosphere in which God's presence is so rich and so thick, and you say, I want to be delivered, you have to understand that the exit of a spirit means that the spirit has to go to a dry place, Jesus said, and it guarantees the return. So don't play with that. You decide to live with what you have, or understand that if I'm delivered from anything tonight, that spirit is going to come back to check on the house. And if he finds the house empty, Jesus said, he will return or cause 7 who are worse than he is. So there's a responsibility then on the person who is delivered to maintain their deliverance by ensuring they follow godly principles and receive godly teaching. Because most people who become possessed by devils, many of them are possessed because of ignorance. You don't know it. There's something that somebody in the family may have done, you don't have a clue about it, but it happened. There's something that a great-grandfather may have gotten involved in, you didn't know it, but it happened. And ignorance has caused many people to be bound until this day. However, God has got a mark or a mission or a mandate as well to save those who are lost. And the Bible says the Lord knows those who are his. Therefore, whenever someone is possessed by a spirit and that person is on God's list of being rescued, then God shows up. And God announces to the adversary, I am in need of my vessel. Now when that happens, you don't have to wonder what the result will be. Because Satan has the highest regard for God. So I want to take you, as I said, I'm going to take you through Scripture to show you certain spirits that find themselves even in the church. And tonight we're going to deal with them. Because if they're exposed, it shall be. Listen, when I get through this atmosphere tonight right here, if you're not free, you don't want to be free. In the book of Mark chapter 5, the Gospel according to St. Mark chapter 5, take you through these 4 different spirits that we have to deal with in the house. Let's look at the first one. Then they came to the other side of the sea, to the country of the Gadarenes. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately, meaning right away, on the moment he set his foot, Jesus, on the ground of the Gadarenes, there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one could bind him, not even with chains. Say no one. Say no one.
No one.
Because he had been often bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been pulled apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces, neither could anyone tame him. Always night and day he was in the mountains, and in the tombs crying out and cutting himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and worshipped him. And he cried out with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God?" Don't miss what was said. What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you, I beseech you, I adjure you, I ask you, by God, that you do not torment me. Alright, let's get a little deeper now. What's the first word in verse 8? What's the first word? You need to follow me in the Bible. Look this way. What's the first word? For, or because. So the demon is saying, Jesus, I am pleading with you, please do not torment me. And the Bible gives the reason why the demon said that. Let's study the text here again. Read verse 7. And he cried with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you, by God, that you do not torment me." Verse 8 says, "For he said to him," which is Jesus now. The reason why the man said that is because Jesus looked at the man before he said anything and said, "Come out of the man, unclean spirit." And when Jesus said that is when the demon said, "Now, Jesus, what have I to do with you, Son of the Most High God?" You understand what's happening here? It's not that the man said it, then Jesus said to the demon, "Come out." The Bible is telling us why the man began to say, "Don't torment me." Because the demon understands that Jesus addressed him. All the man did was worship, all before Christ. And Jesus said, "Come out!" And the demon said, "Please don't torment me." Verse 9. Then he asked him, "What is your name?" And he answered, saying, "My name is Legion, for we are many." This sounds like very poor grammar. My name is Legion, for we are many. This sounds like very bad English. How do you understand the thing happening here? My name is Legion, for we are many. All of this will be explained in a minute. But I want to read the scripture first. And he begged him earnestly that he would not send them. And he begged him that he would not send them out of the country. Now a large herd of swine was feeding there near the mountains. So all the demons begged him, saying, "Send us to the swine, that we may enter them." And at once Jesus gave them permission. Then the unclean spirits went out and entered the swine. They were about 2,000. How many? Alright. So verse 5, chapter 5 begins with the word then. Then meaning something had happened before this encounter. So let's go to chapter 4 and then I'll get to work. Chapter 4 verse 35. Let's go to 35. On the same evening, are you there? On the same evening, after Jesus spoke a number of parables, the person couldn't understand what he was saying. On that very same day, when evening had come, Jesus said to them, his disciples, "Let us cross over to the other side." So let me explain what's happening here. Jesus is talking to them about the parable of the sower. He's talking to them about the parable of the seed. He's talking to them about the parable of the kingdom as a mustard seed, and if it's planted, it will grow huge, and birds will nest in it and find rest in its shade. He's teaching parables, but the people don't understand what he's saying. And then he said to the disciples, I will explain it to you, not to the people. On that very same evening, now Jesus said to them, let us cross over to the other side. Read chapter 5, verse 2. You got to read loud enough because you have to work to understand what I'm getting at here. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately they met him out of the tombs and man with an unclean spirit. Read chapter 4, verse 35. When on the same day, when evening had come, he said to them, let us cross over to the other side. Why? Because there's one man who has the entire country of the Gadarenes under demonic control. And Jesus said, I refuse to stay on this side, while the demon reigns on the other side. And more than that, there's a man who is crying out because he is in pain, wanting to be delivered, but nobody could help him. So let's read verse 36 now. Now when they had left the multitude, they took him along in the boat, as he was. The same man he got in the boat, they had him right there. And other little boats were also with him. And a great windstorm arose. Look at what it took to get to the man. Why did the storm arise? In the atmosphere of the Spirit, you don't understand why many things happen to you. But the Son of God has a very clear understanding as to why there is interference in my mission. He's in the boat, now he's traveling to get to the other side, and a windstorm arose, so that the boat was already being filled with water. So this boat has to sink because you're not going to get to the Gadarenes to accomplish what you want. But he was in the stern, that is Jesus, at the back of the boat, sleeping on a pillow. And they awoke him and said to him, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? Then he arose and rebuked the wind and said to him, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. But he said to them, Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? But they feared exceedingly and said to one another, Who can this be, that even the wind and the sea obey? Then they came to the other side, and the man meets Jesus first of all. The Bible said that he was dwelling in the tombs. And verse 3 said, he was among the dead. He was in the tomb, and no one could bind him, not even with chains. This is a dumb question, but I'll ask you. What do you find in tombs? What do you find? Answers. I know the answer, but say it. I want you to say it to me. What do you find in the tomb? Dead people. Fine. Dead people. The demon is dwelling among dead people. And no living person could bind him. Because even the living persons in the Gadarenes were also dead people. Because anybody with life, the one who stepped out the boat, when he shows up, the demon, the man ran to Jesus and began to worship. There was a whole country of people, including the dead people, that the demon was reigning over. But when Jesus showed up, one man, when his feet hit the country, the demons understood that authority has arrived. The reason why so many people are in church and they're praising God, they're singing, they're dancing, they're preaching, bound is because it determines the environment that they have found themselves in. If you are in a church that is dead, then the demons will always be in charge of the environment. Pastor, what do you mean by dead church? Jesus said in Mark chapter 16, these signs shall follow them who believe. It's in the Bible. In my name they will do what? Cast out devils. They will lay hands on the sick. They shall recover. They'll take up serpents, not like the crazy guy in Kentucky. They'll take up serpents, meaning that anything Like Paul when he was on the island and the serpent bit his hand. He shook the serpent off in the fire. And the snake died. He didn't deliberately go looking for a snake to play with it. So, if Jesus said, these are the signs that will show you who a believer is, and if you're in an environment whereby there are no signs being shown, then the demon is in charge of the environment. If you want me delivered, let me tell you the truth. Because principalities are prince spirits, they are authoritative beings. They rule. And the only way they bow is when they see Christ. So if you're willing for me to hurt your feelings, you'll be free. Because the first step to deliverance is honesty. Jesus, I am in a church, I'm in a house, I'm in whatever it is, and I do not see the signs, so please, Lord, rescue me. It makes no sense getting religious and getting all hooked up on denomination and missing the whole fact that the signs are supposed to follow the believer. Which tells me then that the demon in the man, legion in this man, was responsible for ruling the gatherings and nobody could stop him. None. No one could bind him. He was hurting himself. Don't miss that. Let me show you the first action of a spirit, not in any necessary order, but let me teach it to you. If you are someone who wants to follow God and live a healthy life as a believer, and you keep doing things that you know are detrimental to yourself, a spirit is behind you. Let me explain. No normal believer who knows that if I commit fornication, Jesus said in Revelation and over again that the kingdom of God will not have any fornicator, adulterer, whoremonger, liar, idolater. He said it. If Jesus said it, he means it. Why then would somebody who wants to follow God be continually involved in sexual immorality? And they know the outcome. They are hurting themselves. The question is, why? And they go to God today, Father, please forgive me. They go back the next week, same problem. Come back again, Lord, have mercy. This is the last time I'll do it, same problem. 2 weeks pass, you're fine, the next week you're back with the same problem because of a spirit. Demons will cause people to harm themselves. Now that is the minor part. But when it comes to things like cutting, drug addiction, poking stuff in your body, trying your best in everything, including alcoholism, to destroy yourself, that is not natural. This man was crying while harming himself. He didn't find pleasure in doing it, but he could stop himself from doing it. And why is it that when somebody enters an act that is ungodly, whenever they recuperate, they feel bad about it? Because they know they don't want to do it. But when the desire comes, they have no control over it, which is a sign that the spirit is ruling. Let me take you a little further. So Jesus is now addressing the spirit. He said, verse 9, what is your name? And he answered saying, what? My name is Legion, for we are many. Now, anybody who was in the army or anything like that, or you watch a movie, you'll understand what this means. If I say Delta Force, Marines, Navy, who else we have? The SEAL, that's part of the name. I've said a name, right? But every name I've mentioned could have thousands of people in it. He said, my name is Legion, representing the arm, that principality, that group of spirits. He's saying, now listen, I am of a battalion or a regiment, because of what legion is a Roman word. When the soldiers of Rome were going to fight, they had legions or sections of the army. And a legion had at least 6,000 soldiers in it. Can you wrap your mind around having at least 6,000 demons in a person? Listen to what the man said. We are many. Legion. So I want to take you to show you how many spirits were in this guy. He said this to the swine, verse 13. And at once Jesus gave them permission. Then the unclean spirits went out and entered the swine. They were about how many? One man. Because spirits are limitless. There's no number that says if you have 5 demons, that's as much as you can have. Because their spirits, meaning they can occupy every crevice of your being. This guy was laden with demons. It wasn't 5 demons going to the pig and they jump off the cliff. Every swine, every hog, every pig had a demon in it, and 2,000 of them ran off the cliff into the ocean. Now, verse 14. So they fled. So those who fed the swine fled and told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that had happened. Then they came to Jesus. Oh my God, this part is painful. And saw the one who had been demon possessed and had the legion sitting and clothed in his right mind. And they were afraid. Asking him, why be afraid? Ask him, say, why be afraid of the work of God? Instead of them celebrating what happened, they're troubled that somebody's now in his right mind. You see who was in charge of the city because they saw the man's face, but they didn't realize he was free. So fear has this whole region under its control. That's the first spirit that I'm addressing because that's the strongest of all demons. Fear. Fear would make the person see that God has done the job and still they're scared to admit it. The spirit of fear is so tricky that if you deliver from it, it visits you at night and says, you really think you delivered? You sure? You sure God freed you for real? You don't think that somebody's still inside you? And you begin, the moment the spirit says, now just say, just talk, just say, I don't think I'm delivered. It's over. You just welcome him and his friends back. Because confession brings salvation. And confession brings stagnation. The things you say from your mouth determines the access the enemy has to your life. If God delivered the person and the person said, I'm not delivered, what's supposed to happen? So deliverance is maintained by a change of your language. I was bound. Don't mind how you feel. I was, but I no longer am. But the moment you say that, now we got work to do all over again. So the people were afraid. Verse 17, Jesus said, then they began to plead with Jesus to depart from their region. This man just freed you from somebody who had the whole country in trouble. And instead of asking Jesus to stay, they're saying, please leave, go. We don't want you here. Leave. I have had and still have similar experience. The persons who don't want me to be in these orange for the life of me, they don't want me here for whatever reason. Drug addicts are off the street. Criminals are converted. People who live in lives of fornication are different and still they have an issue. They don't want Nigel landing in the city. It's in the Bible. Because a changed person is one who's difficult to deal with. Let me help you to understand what I mean. If you could look at somebody every day and know exactly what they give, you become comfortable. But the moment you see them in 2 weeks and they don't look the same, they don't act the same, they don't talk the same, you start getting uncomfortable. Because how do I deal with you now that you've transitioned? One of the hardest things for believers to handle is change. If you go to church today and you just sense that the pastor just got up and started to preach, we didn't have church right. Why? Because it didn't sing. The difference, it was the change. It's uncomfortable. Let's do what is normal. Let's do it. Some of you sit in the same seat. If I move you tonight, you can't sit straight. The people could not handle the difference. So instead of celebrating Christ, they said to him, leave here. And Jesus obliged because he left. His mission was complete. He got in the boat, and he who had been demon-possessed begged him that he might be with him. Look at this carefully, church. He did not go back to the tombs. If God delivers you, what right do you have going back to the dead environment? When he got his mind back, he said, I don't belong there. I'm going to where I should be, which is with Christ. Jesus said to him, no, go home with your friends and tell them what great things the Lord has done for you and how he had compassion on you. And he departed and began to proclaim in the Decapolis all that Jesus had done for him. And all marveled. Now, a believer seeing the word Decapolis thinks it's just a city. But if you know mathematics, decagon is what part? You answer the question. What's a decagon? You know, ever heard of deca? Decathlon is what? Okay. So when it's D-E-C-A, like a decade, it means what? 10. And P-O-L-I-S is a city. So the Decapolis is a region with 10 cities. This man was in one area, but when Jesus freed him, he began to preach in 10 cities. A sign that you delivered is you will always be able to do more than you did before. Glory to God. Because the plan of the enemy is to stagnate your progression. Satan don't mind you coming to church, just don't progress while you're here. He don't mind you receiving information, just don't progress when you get it. He don't mind you preaching the word, just don't apply it. The devil is all about stealing what is rightfully yours in terms of your progression and your results that God will give to you. Now let's look at another one. In the book of Matthew, this one is even more serious. Matthew chapter 14. This one is more serious. Matthew chapter 17, sorry. Okay. 17 verse number 14. Let's read it. And when they had come to the multitude, a man came to him, kneeling down to him, saying, Lord, read verse 15 now, chapter 17. Have mercy on my son, for he is an epileptic. He suffers from fits, from falling out. He suffers severely, for he often falls into the fire and often into the water. So I brought him to your disciples, but they could not cure him. Oh. This is the African church right here. This is the problem with churches in the oranges and most parts of the U.S. The people come with problems and they advise you to go to the doctor because they don't understand the spirit right here. So then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you? Bring him near to me. Let me solve this problem. And Jesus rebuked what? The demon. Because epilepsy was a spirit. The second spirit is that of infirmity. It's a disease. Nobody's supposed to be sick all the days of their life. You go to the doctor today, next week is another problem. You go back the next week is another problem. You just can't have a day of freedom when it comes to your health. That is a spirit. Jesus cast the demon out of the child, and the child was cured that very hour. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately, and they're ashamed, and said, why could we not cast it out? So Jesus said to them what? Verse 20. Because of your unbelief. That's the problem. Because these signs are supposed to follow them that believe. The disciples were following Jesus, but they didn't believe. Now they had this kind of power. And he said to them, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. Look at verse 21. However, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. This is a lesson for the church. If you like Boston Market, and chicken and fries, and McDonald's, and peas and beans, and collard green, if you like to eat, don't face demon. Because this kind does not leave except by prayer and fasting. Matthew chapter 12. chapter 12, verse 22. Then one was brought to him who was demon-possessed, blind and mute. Right there. He was demon-possessed, and these demons now affected his sight and his speaking. See how many different spirits we're talking about here already? So you have fear. You have the one that is this infirmity, sickness. You have one that impairs people's ability to see, to hear, your deaf spirits. The demons that affect the person's senses. Why? Because your senses are your receptors of information. If you can't talk, you can't preach. There was no Google, no internet, nothing. If you can't talk, you can't preach. If you cannot speak, you cannot witness. So the demon shut this person's mouth up, couldn't talk. God had to release his tongue so he could speak. There's some people when they are possessed, their tongue becomes frozen. That's a sign that there's a dumb spirit wanting to get to that person to control their ability to talk. Jesus, of course, cast the spirit out. And that's when, of course, the Pharisee said, he is doing this by a demon. This is not God. This can't be God. That's Beelzebub. Beelzebub happens to be a Philistine god, a deity of the Philistines. They're saying that Jesus, who's a Jew, is casting out demons by the God of the Philistine. And Jesus said, come on, catch yourself. Why would Satan destroy his own kingdom? Any kingdom divided against itself would not stand. It becomes desolate. But a house divided against itself will stand. Jesus is teaching them now that demons will cast out demons. That will happen. Now let's get to the big boy. See the big boy. Acts chapter 16. What is the big boy right here? This is the major preacher here. My intercessors need to begin to pray. Acts chapter 16. 16:16. Acts 16:16. 1:6. Now it happened, as they went to prayer, that a certain slave girl possessed with the spirit of divination. This is the big boy right here. In the church, we call them prophets. Alright. Oh my God, he called my name. He never saw me in my life, but he just mentioned my name. He told me about my husband. He told me everything that happened in my house. That must be a man of God. A man of God. Man of God. Look at what this is. Listen to me. If you think fear is bad, this girl had the spirit of what? Divination. And she met us, who brought her masters much profit from what? For truth telling. This girl followed Paul and us and cried out, saying, these men are servants of the Most High God, who proclaim to us the way of salvation. Oh, she sounds like a churchgoer. She said, these men are servants of the Most High God. They are proclaiming to us the way of salvation. And she did it every single day. These men are servants of the Most High God. They are telling us the way of salvation. But the Apostle Paul turned to her. Verse 18. He was greatly annoyed and said to the Spirit, I command you in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. And he came out that very hour. What was talking to this girl? Okay. Let me tell you about the spirit of divination. Because it is prevalent in the church. And people run after it, not knowing what they're chasing. There are two aspects of divination. Lock this in your head. I don't understand what happens here. There's what is called artificial divination. Artificial divination is what some of you practice and need to stop. But you're doing it ignorantly. It is where people talk like science, okay? I saw a snake. Oh God, that's an enemy. You ever did that? Be careful, girl. You need to check your friends and see. Just stay home by yourself, because when you see snake, that's your enemy. You got some enemy against you today. And you just begin to search your mind to find who should I hate now, who should I cut off, because they said that enemies in my house. A black cat runs across the yard, you want to die. Oh God, a demon in my yard. Woo! Bad luck, it's over. That's it. And your tire gets flat after you see the black cat. No, you know that's it. I saw a black cat. My car is now having a flat tire. That was a demon. That's what you call artificial divination, whereby persons look at signs and assume things to happen. A person who has artificial divination may see you quiet at work all the time and come to you and say, you know what? God told me that you got major problems in your house. I just sense it. And they're right now. But they observe signs and make declarations that God said. Artificial. Then the other one comes by deity. Oh, that's when it's dangerous, right? The other one comes what is called inspirational divination. This one comes by a spirit influencing the person's thought. Look at what happens here. This one uses astronomy and astrology as a tool. So you will hear him say, I am Gemini, I am Libra, I am Aries. You are literally saying that you are possessed by a spirit of divination. You say it and you invite a spirit in your life by your declaration. I got here to work tonight, I know you. Saying that you are one of the signs, this is what it's called, a sign. Makes a statement there that you are involved in inspirational divination. Therefore you read your horoscope and say, my personality is determined by the stars, not by God. So we Librans, we have this attitude. We Sagittarius, we just like, we don't play. Leo are so strong. And even church saying this with all confidence. That is inspirational divination. It uses the stars to say signs and apply them to your life forever. So the moment you say, I am Libra, you have bound yourself forever unless God delivers you. So your whole personality throughout your life is that of a sign. On the zodiac. You don't even know where the zodiac comes from. So I was born on the 29th of May. People say to me, oh, you're Gemini. I said, I am Nigel. I am Gemini nothing. I am Nigel London, a child of God. Drop that from my life. You know why I had to do that? Because when I got saved, a person kept saying it to me and I began to act the same way. Oh, Gemini men, they love women. And they weren't wrong. Until I was delivered. Because I accepted what they said. Gemini men, when they get upset with you, they don't get mad. But when they get mad, oh God, you can't stop it. I bought into it. So when you get upset and I started fighting, don't stop with me. But God, after delivery, said to me, God said, do you know what you say? You are Gemini. You are not a child of a God. But we say it. Inspirational divination. Now that in order to it, inspirational divination is when, like Balaam, the prophet, he got information from demons and he spoke as a prophet to people. Saul went to somebody called a medium in the book of Samuel. And he went because God had talked to him. So he went to this woman and said, listen, tell me what happened here. And she was able to call up Samuel from the grave. That's what you call necromancy. Don't play with this, because the moment you start talking about astronomy and I'm Libra and I'm all this stuff like that, you are now in the category of those who deal with the dead. So what happens is, you get up in the morning and say, oh, I dreamt my grandmother last night. And she told me I should not go and take the loan for the man. And you just listen and follow the instructions of a dead person. My Bible says that those who are led by the Spirit of God are the sons of God, not those who are led by dead mother, father, uncle, no one. I dreamt my mother. And who wants you trouble? Some people talk to dead people until this day. You don't do that. That's what you call necromancy. Don't let your emotions run away with you here. I'll give you an example. There was a woman in my church in the Bahamas, and I said to her son died. I said, lady, she started reading this brooch on her clothes. The boys photograph. She had a black wreath on the door. 3 months go by, I said, listen to me, man. This might sound close to you, but let me tell you something. Take it off. Because if you wear symbols of death, you attract the spirit of death. That's my son. What do you expect to happen? You don't understand. You don't have feelings. That's my child. He died. I said, if you don't listen to me, you attracted the spirit of death. She kept it. The motorbike he crashed her, she kept that in her yard. She got rid of nothing for this boy. Because he was a good boy. He was a good boy. So if he dies, you can't get rid of him like that. You have to keep him in the house. And she would talk to the dead son. Oh, we miss you, baby. Oh God, my life can't be the same when I don't see you. And I talk to you every night. I just miss you so much. 6 months later, she was in the castle in front of the church. Dead. 4 months later, her husband was dead. When you don't listen, you see the results. Necromancy is mingling with the dead. You don't have conversations with the dead. The Bible says the dead don't hear it. So what are you telling them? There's no hearing, there's no remembrance. They are with God or in hell. One of the two. And you can't fix either. When somebody dies, you let them go. Release it. Mourn. The Bible says there's a time to mourn. Cry, and when you dry your eyes, say this is it, it's over. That's why I love my daddy back. His father, he can't even find a man grave if you ask him now. And mother, he doesn't go back. Some people every year they go have to clean the tomb and talk, God, mommy, I miss you so much, and life wasn't the same without you, and I brought some flowers and candy. You play with trouble. That's called necromancy. Don't meddle with the dead. And the trouble look on some of your face tell me you know just what you did. So you're worried now. Don't let people suck you into these things by emotional hype. And then you become bound and they can't deliver you. So the spirit of divination is one that literally prophesies by demons. And you run after them, but don't understand the result. What happens? If someone has a spirit of divination, they can say things that are righteous. They can say things that are right. They can say things that are accurate, but look at their life. This is what we call a religious spirit. I told you to the church. In the church. A religious spirit could sing, dance, preach, everything. They could do everything and me with mastery. But look at their life. There are persons who preach, who sing, who dance, who teach, who do whatever is in the church, and they are fine when they come in the building, wherever the church is. When they go back home by themselves and they are alone, they have a different lifestyle. Pornography, drug addiction, drug use, lying, they got all kinds of stuff. And last week I think I spoke to this one, where there's some people who have made a physical commitment, mental commitment. You know what? I don't want to be married unless I don't want to have sex until I'm married. That's a good thing to say. You should say it. I don't want to have sex until I'm married. But great, wonderful. Person then becomes in why you're dreaming of it, why you're thinking of it, why you're watching it all the time. Why is it they cannot get out of your system? I don't want to do it means I don't want to do it. It should not be in my psyche. So God said to me, there are many people who are physical virgins, but spiritually they have husbands who are demons. How do you know the pastor? Because they visit you at night. Men have spirits in the demons come and mingle with them as if you're dreaming about a woman and you're ejaculating. That is not of God. How could God make a single person dream of sex and they have an orgasm and you say, God, oh my God, that was God? So God may make you dream of fornication, but you can't do it physically. Reason for yourself for a second. Who gives you that type of dreams? And you get pleasure from it. You gotta wake up and take a cold shower. And still can't get out of your mind, because those spirits linger in your thoughts. They manufacture desire in your head. And so you come to church, you may be in the church tonight, God, and then you're preaching, and your mind is, I just can't wait to go home. I just can't wait to go home. I can't wait to go to bed. But on the wedding day, you're still a virgin. You're a physical virgin. But let's not tell the husband what happens when you sleep. Those spirits, when a girl gets married, take ownership. They push the husband away. I cannot understand why. Why is it I don't want my own husband? Because of what I just said. Ownership. We have to be careful about what we open ourselves to. The spirit of divination is a religious demon that makes people come to the right place but never have the right result. You could be in church all your life and never see the fullness of God manifested. They clap, lift your hands, roll on the floor, dance, shout, and there's no sign following. Let us stand if you're going to pray. If you have to deal with any of these spirits, any, when the session begin to pray, when the church begin to pray, I have spoken to those who have fear. And the last one I spoke to those who have the spirit of divination. You may have said things and you still consider it. Some of you wear the sign of your, call it your birth sign. You don't want to live with that. Or two fish and no line and like your chain. Or your ring or whatever it is. If I have to deal with the spirit of infirmity, it has you sick on a continuous basis. To the point where you now say, I have hypertension, I have diabetes, I have whatever, I have. When you begin to say sickness is your own, that's major stuff right there.